Hey, so today we are building yet another gaming PC for around $200 this time. Now, as the time goes on, the prices usually go down with it. But due to some political or economical situation in my country, the prices are at their highest right now. So building a budget gaming PC in 2025 is as difficult as it has ever been, cause I remember how much I was selling these exact PCs for. And it's sad because the buyers are asking for lower prices, but the parts are costing me way more than what they did, let's say in 2022, which is just funny at this point. But I cannot stop building PCs just because the market decided to turn upside down all of a sudden. So here I am with this build that I probably can't even repeat after I publish this video because the prices of these parts will be even higher. But anyhow, regardless of all those issues, we still gotta build a PC, which by the way is gonna be for a student that wants to use it for studies, or so I was told. I got approached by a parent that asked me to build a PC for her son for around $200 to $300 US. Now when I compare this build to what people would normally build, let's say in the United States or Australia for example, it doesn't even come anywhere close to the performance of those PCs, which I completely cannot do anything about. I keep getting told that I could have built a way better PC instead, but I assure you guys that I'm doing my best, like I'm actually proud that I was able to find these parts for this cheap, all things considered. Here's the summary of the parts that we used in this build by the way. Now we're not gonna test this PC in Microsoft Word, Excel or anything like that, but we're gonna test it in 6 games and hope that it'll handle everything else just fine. After all, it is a 4th gen i7 processor, which is already overkill for office applications. Let's begin the benchmarks with CS2. Here I chose the medium preset and turned off all sorts of upscaling features. The resolution is gonna be set to 1080p in all of the games by the way. And you probably noticed that I like to test CS2 with bots. The reasoning behind it is that bots are simply more consistent in terms of what they do in the game in comparison to the real players. So bot matches like this not only allow me to do tests faster, but they also provide more consistent results throughout multiple benchmarks. In our case, we are getting a consistent 80 to 100 FPS on average. Now it will go below or above that in some areas, but the majority of the times it'll stay around 90. In terms of responsiveness, the game actually feels quite good. And even though this hardware is getting older by the day, simple games like this are still easy to run on a 4th gen i7 and a GTX 1050 Ti. GTA 5. Here I went with high settings and turned MSAA off. This time I'm gonna use the built-in benchmark, but generally it is recommended to always test games with the actual gameplay. Either way, it seems that we're getting somewhere between 70 to 120 FPS depending on what's going on the screen. I've actually tested this game many times and it doesn't come as a surprise that a GPU from 2016 can run a game from 2013 without a problem. By the way, the CPU isn't our limitation this time. We are mainly limited by the GPU and the memory timings, which is completely normal. Forza Horizon 5. Here I chose the lowest possible settings with TIA on and all sorts of upscaling features turned off. Now if you wanna run this game on slightly higher settings, you can. But for me, playing on 60 plus FPS is a lot more comfortable than playing on 50ish FPS with slightly better graphics. Also, I heard that Nvidia is planning on ending the driver support for GTX 10 series GPUs later this year. But until then, I think this GPU will do just fine. I mean, look at it. We're playing Forza Horizon 5 on a 10-year-old budget system at 60 plus FPS. Let's see if that stays true with Red Dead Redemption 2. Here I went with the lowest possible settings and set FSR to balanced. And I gotta say, I'm kinda impressed with what I'm seeing right now. We are averaging around 50 FPS. Now obviously, this is nothing to boast about, but being able to play games like this on such an old hardware is honestly kinda impressive. I'm not seeing any dips or drops of any kind, and even though we're not quite getting the desired 60 FPS, the game still feels mostly playable. Yes, we're using FSR, and yes, the graphics are not the best, but do keep in mind what kind of PC we are gaming on. If I really wanted to play this game on a computer like this, I honestly would have been fine with this kind of performance. After all, not everybody has the budget for an RTX 5090 PC. Sometimes $200 is all that they have, and for that amount of money, I think this isn't half bad. The Witcher 3. We are running this game on the lowest settings as well, but without any sort of upscaling methods. TAA is on, by the way, to make things look a bit smoother. And it seems that we are averaging just barely below 60 FPS. Now, if you wanna have a consistent 60 plus FPS, you can always enable FSR and set it to quality, if that's what you prefer. But if I'm being honest, I think the game is already playable like this. The delay isn't too bad, and stutters are nowhere to be seen. The last game for today's benchmarks will be Cyberpunk. We are running this game on the lowest settings as well, with FSR set to balanced. Now, I've tested this game many times on a 1050 Ti, and even though it is somewhat playable on this PC, I wouldn't really recommend doing it because it's an action-heavy game that looks way better on higher settings. So unless you're really desperate and you're okay with 45 FPS with FSR on, I don't think this should count as playable. And yes, there is stuff like AMD frame gen and whatnot, but I don't really like it. I don't think it's meant to be used on such a low FPS anyway. At the end of the day, this is a $200 PC, and considering how expensive the hardware is in my area, I don't even think we have a choice. Now, some of you guys might be able to build something way better, depending on where you live, but for the most part, this is about what you can expect for $200 right now in 2025. But do share in the comments below, what kind of deals can you score in your area? And is the tech market any better for you guys? On that note, let's wrap up this video. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.